bye. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show, where we go through the top trending stories that everyone across the country is talking about. Our top story for you today: the UAE unveils a community initiative to support deaf Gazans.
As well, the UAE Consulate in Kerala calls its citizens to actually leave Kerala following the monsoon that's happening.
We're also talking about last night's supermoon. It went viral and it was literally out of this world.
And as well, UAE peeps are fed up with scammers on buy it and sell sites.
And also in today's update, brought to you by the RTA for GITEX, we're just going to urge you directly to take public transport. We've spoken every single day this week about what the RTA have put in place for GITEX in terms of the taxis that are available specifically for people going to GITEX. Take the metro if you can, and the alternative routes that you can take. It's all being automated by an AI traffic management machine, which is literally phenomenal. And if you want the details on that, you can actually go directly to GITEX and check that out. By the way, it's the last day of GITEX. Can you believe it? It's already come and gone.
I know. Time passes by so fast, and it was a beautiful event because, we just figured out how the the UAE is all about AI, technology, and evolvement.
Speaking of evolvement, we have been living in an era of social media. I think it's been, over a decade and a half. And we put the question to you this morning, everyone watching online. Good morning, by the way. It's Friday. Can you believe it? We've made it. You're on Instagram this morning. You might be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok watching the show. But do you wish social media actually never existed?
Yeah. in a way, yes, I do. And I'm not only speaking on my behalf, because there's a study that I had seen today morning that says apparently Gen Z wish TikTok was never invented.
Why do you think? Do you know why? What are the key reasons?
Let me read it for you quickly, because I actually low-key do agree with them, and I do see their point of view of why would they not want TikTok, or they wish TikTok was never really invented. Personally, I think it's kind of wasting. So the findings from the representative of poll of 1,000 Gen Z adults between age of 18 and 27 figured out that Gen Z did not want or wish that TikTok was never invented, because apparently 60% of 4 hours a day they spend on it, and as well
how long?
60% of 4 hours a
4
day.
hours a day?
A day. Can you imagine? That's a lot.
Do you spend 4 hours a day on TikTok?
Do we need to expose? Yeah, I do. I really do. And the thing is, because of TikTok.
How do you have the time?
Because of TikTok, my attention span has gotten so much shorter. I used to read books. I used to enjoy watching a movie. But now, even if I have my favorite series on, I'll be on TikTok scrolling.
Right, but
you know what I mean?
Masa, Holly, are you guys Gen Z? 1 and 2, do you spend 4 hours a day on TikTok?
Yeah, we do. I'm telling you.
I spend 6 hours.
Masa says Holly says she's spending 6 hours. If you ask the question, do I wish social media existed? I think social media has its benefits, but I wish it was back in the old days of social media, where the golden era. This is before your time, where you go on a night out, you have your camera, you take 120 photos and you upload every single photo, and there's no ego, there's no filtering, and it's just fun, and then you like every photo, and it was that special time of social media that I wish still existed, but it's just gone too far now, and there's too much. Yeah, because we've all become so critical of what we post, and therefore no one posts, and
100%.
There's no naturalness to what it's meant to be.
100%. And even, by the way, TikTok has become so toxic to the point where if I have a question, I would be searching it on TikTok search bar, and I will for sure believe what TikTok is telling me. And I had realized that I don't want to make fun of my mom. Sorry, mom. But how my mom goes oh yeah, you know what, Farah, I saw this post on Facebook and it says ABC, you shouldn't do that. And I'd be Mom, why would you believe Facebook? It's
And now
Facebook.
you're on TikTok.
And now I'm on TikTok. And look at me being my mom, however, just like a different platform.
Hold on. So do I wish TikTok didn't existed? I'm not sure, but I don't spend 4 to 6 hours a day on it. Do you guys wish TikTok didn't exist?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you just stop using it then?
I mean, you can't, because that's like, it's very easy to say that. It's very easy to be like, you know what, fine, just like stop using it. But then we got so used to using TikTok that not using it is like not normal.
Give it a
You know
go.
what I mean, I don't think I'll be able to, but okay, I'll try.
If you wish it didn't existed,
I'll try. I wish it
go
not
on a
exist.
TikTok's detox.
I mean, look, that's why
TikTok's detox.
TikTok detox. Yes, that's why I wish it didn't exist, because I wouldn't have known about it and I wouldn't be so addicted to it and I wouldn't just like, you know, be there like all the time. I mean, I'm always there like, oh yeah, you know what, I need to like see, you know, quickly. Even like I am watching my favorite show, I'll be like on TikTok. That's annoying.
I know. I find it really hard to watch a show and not be on my phone as well. But you try and make a conscious effort not to. You're like, okay, I'm gonna put my phone down.
You try, yeah.
Anyway, 8:38 on this beautiful Friday morning. Also, by the way, stay tuned because it is October. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're going to be joined by Dr. Wissam talking all things breast cancer and everything we as women need to know. That's going to come up at about 8:50. But until then, our top story for today.
So the UAE unveils community initiative to support deaf people in Gaza. Now, a new community initiative has been launched to support and as well rehabilitate individuals from Gaza who are deaf or hearing impaired. Now, this initiative is spearheaded by the Zayed Higher Organization for People of Determination in collaboration with Emirates Humanitarian City. And it aims, of course, to create an inclusive and supportive environment for those individuals.
So the initiative seeks to provide essential resources and opportunities for personal development. It recognizes the critical role that the community plays in supporting the people of Gaza. And all of that, we've actually shared it, I think, on Lovin Abu Dhabi, because that's where the humanitarian city is. But it also came alongside this beautiful video. And it's just showing how the UAE is empowering the hearing impaired.
I love how the UAE did not stop its initiatives towards Gaza and Lebanon, because as well I had read this morning that it had sent their second batch of like aid to Lebanon. And in light of all of that, they're even like having like this beautiful initiative to the deaf people in Gaza. I just like think it's like beautiful.
And yeah, and I think it's just amazing the work that they're doing in the humanitarian city as well. But speaking of the amazing things that the UAE is doing, it leads us into our next story where we're dearly thinking about the people in Kerala as they're affected by monsoon season.
Well, the UAE Consulate in Kerala calls its citizens to exercise caution due to the monsoon season. Now, following the heavy rains in Tamil, Nadu, and the India Meteorological Department has forecasted more rain for Chennai, Bengaluru, as my sister calls it, and as well surrounding regions. And in light of that, the consulate emphasizes the importance of adhering to safety instructions.
So Emiratis are advised to reach out to the consulate using the following contact numbers: 00971 824 and also 00971 800 44444. That's 5 fours. Or through the Tawajudi online service, which we know is always there to help Emiratis abroad.
They said that as the monsoon season continues, we urge all citizens to stay informed and safe, as of course this is very dangerous for its citizens. And I want to say one thing is that I love how the UAE is very vigilant of everything and very vigilant of like its citizens, and in time of like they're helping the Lebanon, they're helping Gaza, they're even very aware of like how to keep their citizens very safe.
True, of course, and we just know that region annually is marked by heavy rainfall, and at the moment the heavy rainfall is continuing and expected to last for a couple of days. To date this year, there's been 1,500 deaths due to the extreme weather events in the Kerala region. And as you said, it's amazing that the UAE is helping its citizens. And we also just pray for the people of Kerala through the heavy rain season. Speaking of what the weather does and Mother Nature, I think all eyes were on the skies last night because the supermoon was out of this world. Did you get a photo of it? If you didn't, you might have seen the video that we shared. So many people shared DMs with us of the moon yesterday. It was absolutely stunning. People are calling it the most beautiful supermoon they've ever seen. This was the Super Hunter's moon, and it lit up Dubai skies and the world skies last night.
The Hunter's supermoon is the third full supermoon of 2024 and the closest full moon of the year, which, by the way, means that its diameter appears just shy of 14% larger than the average full micromoon, according to NASA.
And according to astronomer Fred Espenik, the October full Hunter moon passed by the Earth at a distance of only 357 plus some thousand kilometers. And this moon generally signals the arrival of winter. So as the name suggests, the Hunter's moon traditionally indicated that it was time to store up meat for the winter. Does it mean winter is coming? Yes, it does. Does Global Village mean reopening mean winter is coming? Yes, it does. That's more for me. I'm more about Global Village reopening because then you know that they know it's okay for thousands of people to walk outside throughout 100%. The day. So that was really winter is coming.
I agree with you. And as well, today morning, for the first time, I woke up and I saw the moon. And I was like, that's actually beautiful. I stared at it for like a good 5 minutes. So I was like, that's beautiful, you know. Because
lovely start to the day.
Literally, it's a beautiful. I loved it so much, and I love the moon. I love the moon. And by the way, regarding the winter and the weather, I have been walking outside, and the weather is actually not bad. It's really
it's fine. We're there. It's
fine.
Bit sticky today in terms of the humidity, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, like it's
72%.
Like if my mom would be here, she would be like, you know what, to Farah, it's not hot because like I get really cold very fast. To me, like I would tell my mom like, you know, she should live in like Antarctica because like she doesn't get hot at all. However, the weather is actually beautiful. I like it, and as well, the moon's beautiful. I love the moon. I was like staring at it like that, like.
You know, I saw our post yesterday and I was like, I need to go outside and see this moon. And I did the Dubai thing, which was I opened my curtains and looked out. I couldn't see it. But this is phenomenal. So this must have started yesterday evening. And it's 2 day, the cycle of this moon that we should be able to see the most of it. So I don't know if that was 2 days before or maybe tonight again. But if you missed it and if you love celestial objects in the sky, this is one not to miss. Let's jump into our next story. UAE people are fed up with scammers on buy and sell websites. So when you hear this title, you might think we're talking about a typical scam, the illegal kind, but we're not. These are the types of scammers who walk among us. It could be you, it could be me. They're the people who are willing to offer you 100 dirham for something that you've listed on a buy and sell website for 1,000 dirham, the time wasters. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's really annoying. Now, someone listed a piece of furniture for 1,800 dirhams, and the chancellor offered 150 dirhams, aiming to get the best possible price for the used item. But they're wasting the seller's time with such lowball offers. And this type of lowball price offerings are common on buy and sell websites. So, of course, this is very devastating, I must say, for sure.
So, if you've devastating. Yes, it is devastating. It's happened to me a number of times.
Really?
Right, like I've sold a lot of things over the years on different buy and sell websites.
Okay.
But the most frustrating thing for me is when you agree on a price and then people come to the door. This happens all the time. And then they're like, oh, let's say, for example, you've agreed on 500 and they're like, oh, I've only got 3.
Oh, that's like...
Yeah, and it was so annoying. So we were selling a fridge and these guys come, and the problem is the people who are buying, they're not buying the fridge for their apartment. There's so many people buying things to resell it on, or they're buying it for parts. So we had one, we were selling a fridge and the guy came to the door and he goes, oh, I thought it was a different kind of fridge. This isn't the one I thought I was buying. And I was like, you saw the photos, you had the link. And he stood there and he was like, no, like I really thought it was a different fridge, but he wasn't leaving. And it came to the point I was like, you need to leave my apartment now. You know, because it's such a weird thing because they're in your home, they're in your space.
Oh my God, that's actually...
But then you get to the point like they've made the time to come. They're going to lift the thing out of the house and you end up giving in to them. But the lowball price people are pesky.
I mean, I've never had a situation like that happen to me. But if that would happen, I would be very frustrated. I would be very annoyed.
It's really
actually really annoying.
Like I've had so many, it always happens. Now I'll tell you, because it's happened to me so many times, I tried to lowball someone.
You did? Oh my God.
Not at the door, not at the door, but I tried to lowball the offer online.
Okay, well that's fine.
And it didn't work. I played hardball for like 2 days and I really wanted the thing and it was the only thing of that price around. And then I just like went crawling. I went crawling back 2 days later with a fair price.
It's fine. But like, I mean, look, I mean, it's like a very like low balling thing. It's very common in Arab countries. Like if they're gonna go and buy something in our home country, like back in like our home countries, and I think Masa can agree with me on that. And Jordan, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, go like, oh, that's for 500. No. It is 300. There you go. I only have 300 and that will actually happen.
Yeah.
You know, but here in the UAE, I don't think that's like possible to happen. You know, I don't think that's possible. Like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to be giving you 300 dirhams only for a 500 dirhams item.
I think it's normal to do, so like if you're listing on a buy and sell, like there's always a haggling, but I think it's like in this scenario shared by one of our colleagues, they put something up for 1,500 and they got 150 offer and it's like such a time waste. Yeah. But then it comes to a point that like there is always a price and you don't know how long this person has been listing this thing for. Anyway, it's 8:48 on this amazing Friday morning. We're so excited to kick off the weekend with you. But before we get there, it is October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we're going to jump into an interview with an expert on the subject, Dr. Wissam, what every woman should know about breast cancer. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show in honor of Wear It Pink Awareness Day. We're joined by Dr. Wissam Ismail, who is an expert in breast cancer care. He'll be sharing important insights on prevention, early detection, and the latest treatments for breast cancer. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here to discuss this important topic.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for inviting me.
Well, thank you for being here, of course. My first question is, what are the early signs that women can see or notice that can indicate breast cancer?
Very good question. And that's a very common thing. And people usually miss that. So I call them the 12 breast lemon. And I'll have a leaflet in my clinic and give it to patients. So basically, it's if there's any skin changes that you haven't noticed before, if there is any like a blood stain nipple discharge, if there is a deep lump that you haven't seen before or a lump under your armpit. So these are the main things that the patient tend to see, but sometimes they leave it alone and say, yeah, fine, well, it's around my period time, I'll leave it and then it get better. But this could be an early sign of breast cancer.
Interesting. When I think of personal detection for breast cancer, I just think of lumps and I think of nothing else. But you mentioned there are signs of, skin changes and things. So are there any more subtle symptoms that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, so if these skin changes are not settling after a few weeks, everybody can have skin changes from irritation, a bit of an allergy. But if things are persisted over a few weeks, then that needs to be, get checked. And there's a medical term we call that peau d'orange. That's when the skin becomes very tense. And this is a sign that the breast cancer is just coming close to skin and this affecting, the lymphatics. And that's why, the skin becomes angry.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, other than the symptoms that we can feel on our bodies, does breast cancer affect day-to-day life? That you go like, okay, fine, I have breast cancer, it's affecting my day-to-day life?
Not really. But the important thing to know that breast cancer is the commonest cancer in the world now. So 1 in 8 ladies will have a breast cancer. It used to be like a bowel cancer, lung cancer, but now breast cancer is just proceeding. And that's due to many factors. But to affect day-to-day life, it's not really affecting your life if we are detecting it early. So that's the key to it. Although it's the commonest cancer, but it's the most treatable cancer, and people can be cured from it very, very easily and quickly, providing that we find it early. Cure rate is over 99%. But if we found it very late, then that cure rate can drop to 60%, which is not great.
You mentioned there that the rates have increased due to certain factors. Like, what are those factors?
Well, it's a multifactorial. Some of them are genetics, which is about 5 or 10%. Some of it's unhealthy lifestyle, smoking, stress, not sleeping early. And that's not only affecting breast cancer, but that's affecting all the cancers that people can face every day. 1 in 3 people in their lifetime will have a cancer of some sort. But breast cancer in particular is very specific for the ladies who are not having a healthy lifestyle, very overweight, because the fat under the skin can be transformed into estrogen. Estrogen is the main cause of the breast cancer that we see.
Interesting. Now there's like this misconception that breast cancer can really only reach women who are like at a certain age. So if you can tell us what is like the most common age for patients?
Well, that's very interesting, because let's say 15 years ago, the peak of breast cancer used to be between 40 and 50 years old. Now this is shifted like by 10 years. So now we're seeing ladies having breast cancer, the peaking is between the 30 and 40 years, which is very scary and worrying. And that's why we encourage all the ladies to do your self-check. It's a 60-second a month. And this is my code always. So 1 minute a month to examine your breast at day 7 of your period, left side under your armpit, right side under your armpit. It takes a minute. If you do that, then, and if you see or feel any lump or anything that you're not used to, then yeah, go to a specialist. But regarding the age, yeah, there's a big shift, from the 40s to the 30s, and we're seeing very advanced breast cancer during that age period. And what's the reason behind that? Again, it's multifactorial.
Speaking of misconceptions, I think there might be so many. We grew up thinking, maybe using certain deodorants would cause breast cancer, maybe using certain perfumes. Is there any truth to that?
No, not really. There are multiple myths, I would say, about breast cancer. One of them is perfume, deodorant. The other myth is, I've got a lump and it's going to go away on its own, so I'm just going to leave it alone. No, it doesn't sometimes. And the other myth, I'm not going to get my breast checked. Because if I can do a mammogram, that's radiation, that's going to cause cancer. No, it doesn't. The other myth is, I'm not going to do a biopsy, because if it's cancer, then it's going to spread. And this is very, very common misconception. And you always tell patients, listen, if it's a benign or it's a cancer, if you take a biopsy from it, it doesn't spread. It helps us to diagnose it early, it helps us to treat it early.
Trust your doctors, trust medicine.
I agree with Casey. We should trust our doctors more. Now, it is a genetic disease. However, If it does not run in the family, are women as well like prone to, or maybe they're less prone? There's like a more of like a low possibility to get breast cancer.
Yeah, well, people focus a lot on genetics, but the genetic related breast cancer is only about 10% of all the cancer that we see. And we have like all the genetic tests to check for mutations. But if the ladies, they don't have any like a genetic mutation, but they have a very strong family history of breast cancer, 2-3 relatives from the same side of the family get cancer, then yes, they are still, we categorize them as a low risk, intermediate, and high risk. So they're still going to be high risk, but it's not the genes that we know about. You know, as much as we're advanced, but we don't know about all the genes, you know, in there. We test about 21 genes for the genetic mapping, something that's related to breast cancer and thyroid cancer, pancreatic bowel cancer, but we still don't know about all the genes. So we tell the patient, yes, you don't have a genetic mutation that we can detect, but you're still a high risk. So you need to go for what we call enhanced monitoring, which means that you check yourself regularly. We check you every 6 months to 1 year with different modalities to detect any cancer early.
So detection is obviously super important, but what about prevention? Is that possible with breast cancer? Is there a way to lower my chances of getting it?
Yeah, it is. That's a very good question. So generally speaking, running a healthy lifestyle, that's very, very important. So sleep well, eat well, and by saying eat well, not, you know, don't stop like, you know, eating sugar, because a lot of people, oh, I'm not going to eat sugar because this is going to cause cancer. That's again, it's a misconception. There's no direct link between sugar and cancer, but if your BMI is high, you're overweight, then you're not exercising, you know, you're not, you know, having a lot of stress in life, then yes, this can translate into cancer at some point. But prevention is better than cure, as we always say. So if you're running a healthy lifestyle, you're doing your 60-second check a month, you doing your yearly checkup. And when you talk about screening, people, you know, have a bit of confusion about that, because screening is different than symptomatic. Screening, that's you go and get checked when you don't have symptoms. And that's utterly important, because if you start having symptoms, you've gone into a different category. You're changing a few millimeter cancer that we can detect without even me feeling it, to a like 1 or 2 centimeter cancer that might gone to your lymph nodes, gone to your different organs, which is sometimes too late.
You just mentioned there that sugar may not have a direct link, but is there any type of foods or drinks that do have a direct link to cancer? For example, like alcohol, would that be known to cause breast cancer?
Yeah, well, you know, high consumption of alcohol can cause different types of cancer, but not directly linked to breast cancer. But keeping in mind that consumption of alcohol on, you know, high amount, this is high calorie. So again, this can translate to, you know, a lot of calorie consumption per day, but again, not a direct link to breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, many women are concerned about their body images after they undergo treatment, which is very normal. So what are like some ways that women can cope with that, with the changes?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. 20, 30 years ago, yes, ladies will thought about, okay, yeah, I've got breast cancer. We have to remove the breast. You know, that's not, you know, the case now. We have all the new technologies and you know, techniques to preserve the breast. Only 20% of the surgeries that we do will lose the breast. That's because the cancer is widespread. Otherwise, 80% of our patients, you know, they will keep the breast. We do, you know, a different techniques to preserve the shape, the volume. They don't need to lose the breast. And even for worst case scenario, if we decided that the patient will go for mastectomy, get rid of the breast, then yeah, we can do an immediate reconstruction. So I always tell them, you will sleep with a breast and you wake up with a better breast. That's a reconstructed, that's a younger version of your breast. You're not going to feel any difference in terms of the shape, in terms of the volume, especially, you know, for your family members, that kind of thing. So technology is really, really advanced, and we can use their own body tissue to reconstruct, or we can use a prosthesis.
I think it's amazing to hear that there's been so many advancements in the types of, I guess, surgeries and help after. But I think the party line is, as you said, if detected early, you know, the majority of people can be cured from breast cancer.
Absolutely.
But what is something that we don't know about the treatment process? You know, because I'm sure that many women watching have been through it, and maybe it's not as easy as we say.
Yeah,
so
correct.
is there any kind of challenges there that, you know, maybe someone who's just been recently diagnosed would need to be aware of?
Yeah, so the main challenge is what is the stage of the cancer that we detect? You know, the earlier the detection, the less treatment that the patient will need. So for example, you know, for a small early stage breast cancer, patient most of the time they don't need chemotherapy. You know, they don't need a major surgery. So it will be like a matter of a small surgery and then they'll have a bit of radiation and then they might take like a hormonal treatment. But if the cancer is slightly more advanced, then yes, the patient may need chemotherapy. And I just want to focus a bit on the chemotherapy that people are really scared about. And I always tell them, okay, so chemotherapy had a very bad reputation, but it's a very, very good medicine. There's no generic chemotherapy anymore, but you know, there's like a targeted therapy, there is immunotherapy that comes with the, you know, the chemo regime. And we have like more than a third of the patients that start chemotherapy even before surgery. And you know, the cancer vanishes even before we touch them with a knife. So that's a very, very revolutionary treatment, you know, for the last 5 to 10 years. It wasn't there before, but now, you know, we see, you know, the cancer is cured, it's leaving the lymph node, it's not in the breast. So when I do my surgery, all what we see is just a bit of fibrosis tissue from the, you know, successful treatment.
Interesting.
Now, lastly, how important is it to consider testing for breast cancer? And at what certain ages should women start testing for breast cancer?
So we recommend to start doing screening from the age of 40. And this is with mammogram. And if they see something on the mammogram, which is the breast x-ray, then they can go for ultrasound or different modalities. But that's not for the people who had a family history of breast cancer. So for example, if a lady got a sister with breast cancer age 45, then she needs to start at the age of 35. So you go back 10 years to check them before. So yearly checkup according to the NCCN guidelines from the States, that's the most updated one. So from age of 40 up to the age of 75, 80. Doing the self-check is utterly important as well. You know, I keep repeating this because it's very, very important. If you feel anything, don't ignore it. Don't sweep it under the carpet. No, get it checked. People don't, you know, face their fears, but this is very important to acknowledge it, get it checked, because even if it's cancer, it's curable. You know, 99%, you don't see many cancers with this cure rate. So this is a huge advancement in the treatment and in the cure rate. But the problem is, if you leave it, then no, it's a disaster.
Before you leave us, very quickly, what's the youngest case that you've seen of breast cancer?
23.
That
Yeah.
should put the fire under us all to get our breast cancer, our breast checked.
Definitely.
Dr. Wissam, thank you so much for joining us. If people watching today have more questions than we were able to get through, how can they find you?
Well, I based at the American Hospital in Dubai, and they can reach us there. We're opening a new breast unit in Al Barsha Clinic, in the American Hospital clinics. By the end of the year, probably going to have like 4 breast units all across Dubai. So please, my only message is reach out. Don't ignore any breast symptoms. Do your 60 seconds a month and run a healthy life.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you, Farah.
Thank you, Casey.
And that leads us to the end of the show on this Friday morning. Have a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning. Bye-bye.